Hello, it's the Sinister Gambino here with a new video. In this video, I'm going to be making my episode of contact mission content for the dispatch services. Dispatch 1 through 6, of course, from Madrazo. And these are like DLC contact missions from like the Severin San Andreas Super Sport series update, something like that. But yeah, here's actually a little thing about how the payout works for these missions. This also applies to Repo missions, and I would assume this is not like around the time from the last play missions, but I'm assuming the last play missions, since they are similar to dispatch missions and Repo in terms of how they are and all that stuff. I would assume the last stand missions or whatever from Gerald from the previous DLC would also apply to this as well. Because aside for those three types of missions, I have not like covered the other missions yet, and the rest I haven't covered, I'm pretty sure, are all like story-driven missions, being the casino story missions and then the Super Yacht Life missions of the current DLC. But yeah, the rank is apparently set to 85 in terms of payout. However, anyone like rank 1 or above, of course, can do the missions. So the rank for being able to actually do the missions is actually rank 1, but the rank for payout is actually 85, which I believe the previous highest was like 81 or 82 for like the trash talk mission from Madrazo, I believe, which has already been covered on this series, by the way. But yeah, here's also a bunch of really nifty stuff with the payout, and the payouts listed on the first tweet are apparently for 4 minutes. Solo being 23,100, and then it goes all the way to 30,000, and then $30 or whatever for 4 players. And yeah, the Twitter user, of course, on screen shows that it's actually more efficient to do them in 4 minutes than 15 minutes. I always speedrun all the missions on my series, by the way, so if you want like good ways of doing these missions fast, I believe I provide pretty good ways of doing them for every single mission covered by far. But yeah, finishing every mission in 4 minutes for an hour, which I'm pretty sure would be for all 14 missions in that case, would be 420,420 bucks. And that's including the repo works, but yeah, this could kind of apply for dispatch as well, kind of. I would still imagine it's faster doing it, more efficient for 4 minutes than 20 or 15 minutes, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, finishing them in all in 15 minutes is 840,840 bucks. And then finishing them all in 4 minutes in 2 hours 48 minutes, which is probably the full playlist 3 times, I'm imagining. That's 1,261,260 bucks. Also, do keep in mind these numbers are for double money, not single money or regular money, of course. Now would be a good time to talk about like at least one of the mechanics with the dispatch services missions, which would be slightly different than the other missions, I'm pretty sure. And that has to do with the live counter, which I'll explain in a little bit. But in addition to the rank being rank 1 for starting it, and it pays like rank 85 contact missions or whatever, that's one of the mechanics with it, of course, with these types of missions. There's also the life mechanic or whatever. I believe in normal contact missions, when the life counter is fully depleted, like every death from them only counts against the one person who dies. Which means that if you're out of lives, of course, someone runs out of their life or whatever, and once that counter reaches 0, whatever, they'll be taken out and we'll have to spectate, but you can still keep going with the contact mission until you die or whatever. That's not the case in these dispatch services, I'm pretty sure. I don't have an example of it because I would have had to purposely die, because these aren't even very hard missions whatsoever. But yeah, I believe if it reaches 0 in these dispatch services, it just straight up ends. So if one person dies, the other can't continue for them. That's kind of an unfortunate change. Not sure why they would make that change. But yeah, it's kind of a little difference with this. And then Dispatch 1 actually takes you into the police station. That I'll be going into, of course, on the gameplay. And when you get into the police station, I really recommend you just use your assault shotgun. There's really not much advice to give for this one personally, I would say, compared to other ones. Sadly, it doesn't have the cool stealth mechanic that a lot of these like different ones have. I believe half of them have like a stealth mechanic, which is really cool. I'll be going into details with later, of course. Whereas the other half is kind of just like killing enemies and stuff like that like you normally would. But yeah, pretty much the main advice is just use your assault shotgun. I do recommend going to the roof entrance if you have a vehicle that can do that, of course. If not, obviously, you'll have to go for the front entrance. And you really can't stealth this one at all, because once you kill the first enemy, you're basically going to be known. Obviously, it's a police station, you're not really going to be able to stealth it. But yeah. Then, of course, there's a downstairs area where you have to use either the like computer or you have to use like an explosive, I believe. Obviously, I recommend using the computer rather than wasting an explosive or whatever. And from there, you just kill the inmate, whatever. And then you can go back up to the roof with your Deluxe or whatever. I do recommend the Deluxe. In fact, I would say Deluxe is like the best vehicle for all 6 of these. I do end up using the Vigilante for some of the other ones just because I wanted to make some of it different. I didn't want to just use the Deluxe for the whole entire thing. But yeah, if I were to recommend one vehicle for the whole entire dispatch services, I would say the Deluxe over Vigilante. I just, again, wanted to make it different. So it wasn't all just the same vehicle over and over again. And yeah, when you go on the roof, of course, you can either take your vehicle, or if you don't have a vehicle that can go on the roof, of course, you have to go from the front for the first part, of course. But then you can go on the roof, and then there's a police Maverick, which is a very good escape for escaping the wanted level if you aren't fortunate enough to have a good vehicle. Yeah, that's pretty much all I would say for this mission, for sure. On to Dispatch 2, I recommend taking out these first couple people with the missiles of the Deluxe or like any sort of vehicle. I know it says to do it stealth, but you can kind of still do that even when taking out those two. If you go any further with it, you might run into more trouble. Here I do actually get caught by the person since I thought my like marksman rifle Mark II would reach the person, but it did not, so I had to switch to my advanced rifle, but sadly at that time I ended up getting caught or whatever. But back then I remember having better runs doing it that way or whatever. So I believe I have done it before without getting caught doing those first two like missiles and then killing the person that ran over to me there. Or if you do it good enough, you might not even have to worry about that person either. So that might be something as well. So because of that, of course, I went like with an alternative strategy of using like thermal vision and stuff like that, so I could see like enemies better since I did get detected there. But yeah, that can definitely be quite the strategy that could save the tiniest bit of time. But yeah, it does show off the new like stealth mechanic kind of. I believe like if you don't get detected by anyone, you can actually shoot them with like an advanced rifle in the like chest even, and it won't actually kill them. I mean, and it will actually kill them. Yeah, the cool stealth mechanics in this mission, I believe you can pretty much like one-shot kill anyone as long as it's stealth, which is really cool because I don't think a lot of like missions and stuff like that do that. So it's a pretty unique stealth system actually in this mission and a couple of the other dispatch things as well. So it has like the most lenient stealth system in the game, I would say, for these dispatch services, the ones that actually have stealth in them. But anyways, I mainly recommend using your like average weapon, obviously like an assault rifle or even a marksman rifle Mark II, which I typically use with regular rounds, because of course you can have a lot more of those than any of the specialty ammo, and then you can actually get it through the interaction menu and all of that, so I do prefer the regular ammo with that. And yeah, eventually it was a pain because of getting caught, and I used the Deluxe even more, of course. But like I said, Deluxe is pretty much good for all the missions, and I will be using the Vigilante, I believe, with the next one, but do keep in mind, like I mentioned, this is a very good vehicle, if not like the best one for all these dispatch services, I would say. And then when you get into the Merryweather office, I kind of recommend going Assault Shotgun. At least if you go inside of the office, I would recommend the Assault Shotgun. If not, you might be able to get away with your typical like advanced rifle or whatever your typical like average kind of weapon is. And yeah, similar to the previous dispatch service, there is a helicopter for those who might not be as fortunate with their transport, and it's the regular Valkyrie, I think. I don't think it's the mod .0 Valkyrie without the explosive cannon. So if you wanted, you could technically use the explosive cannon for sure to take out the enemies as well, I would imagine. I would imagine it's not locked like before you leave or whatever. Yeah, pretty much that's all there is to say on this dispatch service, pretty much. Onto Dispatch 3, just like Dispatch 2, it doesn't really go to a unique like interior, whereas Dispatch 1, I believe the police station isn't really normally accessible, of course. That one was more unique. But Dispatch 3, there's like a door on the side of the hangar or whatever, which I'm pretty sure is it will be entered normally, of course, in the free mode. And yeah, basically you have a whole entire hangar of enemies with stealth. Don't worry, you can kind of take these people out like solo as long as you're really quick with it, as you can see in the gameplay with me using my advanced rifle. Sadly here, of course, my like random person, whatever that was with me, ended up like using RPG, of course, so and everyone got alerted and all. But yeah, there's actually a couple of DLC vehicles in this one. There's like the last one had like the Valkyrie, for example, which it wasn't really used in much of any contact missions, which is pretty cool. So I believe that like plane over there is like the Nimbus, for example, and then there's like 2 pyros in here, which is pretty nice. I would actually recommend, honestly, to take the pyros out of here, honestly. For whatever reason, though, I think my random ended up thinking I was going to take the Vigilante, whatever, so that did cause some problems. But I did manage to do a sick little maneuver, of course, with it, which was quite awesome. But yeah, I would recommend mainly going with the advanced rifle, or whatever your average like stealth weapon would be in this case, with a suppressor on it, of course. But yeah, after that, of course, it's a very easy escape LSIA with the provided pyros. The GTA Wiki also actually provides some tips of this one as well. There's like 2 tips on the GTA Wiki page, whereas pretty much all the other ones I don't think really have any like fun facts, trivia, or tips or anything. So I mean, this would be the only one in this case for this episode of contact mission content. But yeah, first one is the 2 pyros in the hangar can actually be used to explode armored plane, because it does have the missiles on them, which is quite nice. So if you're less fortunate and don't have a lot of like explosive stuff or anything, if for some reason the Nimbus becomes a problem, you can use the pyros to destroy it, of course. And then it does recommend the Oppressor and Oppressor Mark II with missiles, of course, so that you can just aim straight to the armored plane. Though I would imagine pretty much any vehicle with missiles could do that, so I don't know why they particularly recommend the Oppressor and Oppressor Mark II. If anything, you're kind of just exposing yourself more going on those vehicles. Plus, they're not 2-seater if you're especially with a more unfortunate random in that case, of course. But yeah, I'll be going on to Dispatch 4. Onto Dispatch 4, it's kind of like Dispatch 1, of course, where it takes place in a pretty unique interior that's not normally accessible in free mode unless there's like business battles or anything that take place there, of course. But yeah, goes into the Rogers scrapyard, and that's a pretty narrow interior for the most part. Like, there's a lot of pretty narrow areas in that interior. There's like at least 1 or 2 like big areas probably in the interior, but for the most part, it's pretty narrow. So of course, for the people like outside of it, I mainly recommend using your average like stealth weapon. Like for me, it's the advanced rifle, for example. So something like that. And once you're in here, I would recommend the assault shotgun, like I did for Dispatch 1, and like in its entirety, pretty much. So yeah, it's definitely my recommendation in terms of weapons, I would say. And this one's actually not a bad one for stealth. I think I was pretty much able to almost fully stealth this. In fact, I think there was only 1 enemy left, and they were like next to a fence, which I couldn't really shoot through or anything. And that's the only reason I ended up like getting alerted, but even then, I didn't really include that gameplay, because I already had the target killed. I just wanted to really show off how like easy the stealth is. Like I'm doing an assault shotgun of course in here, and some of these enemies might not necessarily be all that close to me and all that stuff, and I'm still able to like one-shot them and all. Cause yeah, like I said, if you can shoot them while they're stealth, I believe you can pretty much one-shot them with just about anything. Like I gave the example of course of the advanced rifle, how you can like shoot them in the chest. I believe it will one-shot them as long as it's stealth of course. So yeah, it just goes to show the fun little stealth mechanics of this set of missions for at least a couple of them. 2 to 3 of them I believe have this really cool stealth mechanic, which is really awesome. In fact, I think this is the third and final one that does have that stealth mechanic. But yeah, pretty much from there of course, you can kill a lot of these enemies if you want for extra RP and all, but like you only have to go like halfway through the interior, and I think there's like a couple different like entrances / exits to it. So it kind of encourages going to different like ways through the factory, which is quite nice. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is, I'm pretty sure, to say about Dispatch 4, so I'll be going on to Dispatch 5. On to Dispatch 5, this is definitely one I really highly recommend having a Deluxe for, or any sort of flying vehicle, because if you don't have some sort of flying vehicle with weapons on it, it's gonna be kind of tedious to do this one, I would say. There is a couple provided helicopters, similar to how Dispatch 1 and 2 provide like escape helicopters in the form of the like Police Maverick and then the Valkyrie. So there is that, but the 2 helicopters that are provided are an unarmed Buzzard, apparently, and then a Maverick, which, yeah, both of those aren't armed whatsoever, so you will still have to use your, like, actual ammo and stuff. So I just recommend having a Deluxe or something similar, of course, so you can just blow the targets up and stuff. And once you kill the first target, there will be a 7-minute timer. So if for some reason you want to stall this to like 15-16 minutes for the maximum pay, which as I showed off at the beginning, is not recommended, but if for some reason you want to do it anyways, you might want to wait like 8 minutes or so before you kill the first target, if for some reason you want to go down that route. But yeah, for the targets, for the order, I would recommend going like furthest away to the city to closer to the city, of course. That's how I would kind of go about with the like way you go about the different targets and all that. And yeah, there's one like the construction building, for example, and then there was like one in a helicopter. So yeah, definitely having a air vehicle with actual weapons on it is definitely going to be very beneficial, for sure. And I definitely think that's pretty much all there is to say for Dispatch 5. So on to the final Dispatch service, Dispatch 6. Last but not least, on to Dispatch 6. For this one, I decided to start the audio, of course, right when I started it, because I will want to mention like what I think about these missions and all, if they're worth doing it or not. And I'm sure the answer is kind of obvious, but I do want to still explain it, of course. But yeah, this one is basically another just destroy everyone on sight kind of like dispatch service, similar to the previous one where there was like the 5 targets. Plus people protecting the targets as well, so it's very similar to that one. As you can see on the bottom right, it says A distance and B distance, so apparently the amount of like targets there are to destroy depends on how many players you have as well. So of course if you have 3 and 4 players, there will be a C, and then D as well. All of them I believe are police riots, of course, which are like the armored van, of course. Not the SWAT would use or whatever. And I believe the ones in this mission take free explosives. I believe in free mode they normally don't have explosive resistance, so they have like 2 that they can take before being destroyed on the 3rd missile. At least in the case for the Vigilante, that would be for pretty much any vehicle with missiles, surely. So do keep that in mind. So that'll probably be upwards of like 12 missiles you have to use just on the vans if you're using a vehicle with a limit and you're the only one really going for it for any reason. But yeah, like I said, it's just like the previous one where you just destroy a bunch of targets. But yeah, finally, what do I think about these missions? Honestly, dispatch services I feel are some of the best and also kind of some of the worst missions. I'll explain why. Like yeah, as I've shown off, this set of missions, the dispatch services, as well as like the repo works. And I would assume the last stand or last play missions of Gerald, whatever one it's called or whatever, I'd imagine that it goes through the same like payout system as well. So these missions do have some of the best payouts. The only bad thing, of course, is on like Repo Works and then the new like Gerald Last Stand missions or whatever from the previous DLC. These ones require 2 players, which I completely understand is not as bad as 4 players, at least. Like half of the like Lamar missions, for example, are like pretty much just about all of the like regular heists, for example. And even some of the day 1 contact missions even require 4, if not like even more players as well, for at least one of them even. So I know it's not that bad, only requiring 2 players. It's very easy to get a single random, obviously. But it kind of hurts the replay value for the dispatch services, I feel, compared to the Repo Works and then also the Last Stand missions. And aside from that, obviously there's casino story missions, which are all 2 players, which kind of makes sense for those story missions. And then even the Super Yacht Life missions, the latest like story missions, those can all be done solo. And I really don't understand why they require 2 players. Like, as you can see, I pretty much like single-handedly could have done these all myself, I would say. Like yeah, there's Dispatch 2 or whatever, I did get caught or whatever, but I've done it before, like I haven't got caught to like the way end or whatever. Because I don't necessarily think it's possible to even fully stealth Dispatch 2 particularly. Yeah, as I've shown off, these are really easy. You really don't even need a random or anyone. These could have very easily been solo missions, and they should have been, I feel like, at minimum. Don't know why at minimum it has to be 2 players. Anyways, that's my opinion on all the dispatch services and like tips and tricks, all that stuff on how to do them and all that stuff. So that's finally gonna be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed.